Hello, hello Libra. Welcome to your April 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you are a sun, moon, or rising Libra. So just tune in with your body. If there's some information you want to have come up today, just ask for that to show up. Set your intention, take a deep breath. And I'm gonna go ahead and lay the spread out and then I will get into the reading. Okay, so the first card I'm going to pick is actually a mindfulness card, and I am getting insight and awareness is the topic for you guys. Let's see what's coming up. Let it go. We're always carrying something. Sometimes it's the idea that we should be a certain way, or a memory of when a close friend let us down, or our view of how everyone around us should behave. While holding views and opinions is not intrinsically bad, each one weighs us down in its own way, limiting what we can do and how we can be. Spend a few minutes reflecting on a particular burden you're carrying and play with what it might be like to let it go. Then let it go. This is also, I think the idea of letting go is much more complicated than, oh, just let it go. So I think they actually kind of missed the point with that card. But it's kind of like permission to stop fixating on it can be really helpful, or allowing yourself to just be at peace with the way things are. And that's a practice, like when you get into a space where all you want to do is ruminate about it, being able to shift gears is more how you get into the practice of letting it go, even if it takes time. The animal card for you this month is squirrel. So I'm already reading some chaotic energy coming from this, because I'm thinking about how squirrels move, and I'm just getting that there's something very frazzled about this. I'm curious to see what else comes up, because this is looking like really high energy. So let me see what else. We have the word of the month, alchemy. Combine two things that don't go together. Step beyond all base matter to find the gold within. The once impossible may now be possible. Give it a try. So whichever phrase stood out to you the most is what you are meant to hear. And the central energy for you is the Six of Wands. So this is victory. So this is achievement, getting things done, making things happen. This is like the success card, so good for career ventures and everything like that, academia, what have you. Reaching personal goals and commitments, also closely tied with that squirrel energy as far as it being really intense and high energy. The crossing card, Ace of Coins, okay, it looks work related or academic. The Ace of Coins definitely is reading as work. In some capacity, whatever you're working on or whatever you have been investing in, like that's where you're starting to see some victory shine through, and you might even be planting more seeds this month. It just depends where this is going and how it's playing out. Let's look at what's shifting out for you. We have the Nine of Coins. I'm going to clarify this, because this is just about enjoying the fruits of your labor, like really being able to sit with that. But I want to see what else do we have going on with this. Eight of Cups. So it may have been you had an achievement, or you reached a big goal, or you did something like that, and now you're starting to shift gears or work on a new project or do something else, something new, something different. Or maybe it was just time, like you reached a certain level of success, and so now you're trying to build something else or construct something else. So whatever part of this you're in, it just comes back to your perspective around this. So it's all about, like, is it time for you to take a break? Is it time for you to do more, do less, shift gears? Let's see what the oncoming energy is first. We have strength. So I'm getting a little bit of recoup time. I don't know. It seems like you may have put so much energy into this initial project, or just the amount of work that you've been doing already, that you're probably going to need to refill your tank when all of this is not done. But as things start to level out and even out, I think you're really going to need to just fill your tank, take a break. Because this is also, even though this is ego, personal power, your will, being able to exert that in whatever way you need to, that doesn't mean that you should burn the candle at both ends. It also represents, like, gather your strength as well. That's how this is translating more so. I can't get over this squirrel card. Like, that is honestly, I can't stop focusing on it. It has just so much potent energy here. So I think that's definitely a theme. The outward manifestation is the Two of Wands. So there's a little bit of a waiting game. I think that if you are starting something new, like if this is the month where you are initiating something and, like, not hitting the reset button, but starting fresh or trying to manifest something bigger, better, it's going to take some time, and you do need to be patient with it. That's really key here. So just don't expect it to happen in 1 month. Like, celebrate the successes that you've already had. Focus on filling your tank. That way you can actually be intentional with what you're calling in, and you have the energy to pace yourself rather than overexert yourself and then have to backtrack because you burn yourself out. So it's definitely going to be something that you have to work for. In the subconscious, we have the moon. So a little bit of confusion, a lack of clarity, uncertainty. It's kind of like your internal world is probably going to be communicating that you need to be doing things differently. So just remember that that's old programming. Because I think for this direction that you're heading, whatever it is that you're planning next, whatever it is that you're building, there's a certain level of uncertainty that you're going to have to be okay with, and there's a certain level of not knowing that you're going to have to be okay with, and this just comes back to, you know, this will ground out. It just might not feel that way immediately. I think this is really good energy for, like, getting creative inspiration, getting downloads, intuitive hits, working with that moon. But it can also feel really, really messy. It can feel like you're falling apart a little bit if you're totally ungrounded. And so we need that in order to feel into being grounded. So you need both. You can't have one without the other. Okay, now the advice for you is the Queen of Swords. Be okay doing your own thing. I think that, you know, independence is something that's really working for you, or doing things independently, whatever that looks like in whatever context. Carve your own path, go your own way. You don't need to be on board with everyone else. This is almost like Aquarian energy, like go against the grain if you want to. If you disagree, I know that you guys are the diplomats of the zodiac, but there's simply a good amount of individuality that is coming from this that I really see as being important for you. So honor that whenever it comes up in whatever context, and really put your own flavor into your approach to life. Like, you don't need to model anyone else or fit into anyone else's box unless it's something that you would like to embody. So just remember, it's all up to you. External influences, we have the Empress. So perhaps this is someone sitting in your space. This can also be like a maternal figure, a mother figure. I'm getting that this actually looks older. I'm going to clarify this. Justice. Yeah, so this is like crone energy. Definitely like older female, someone with like really potent feminine energy. And it's kind of like this person can really help you seek clarity, make decisions that are right for you, and just reflect back to you without projecting. So this definitely is showing up as a person, a mentor, an advisor, a parental figure in some capacity. So this looks like a person who's definitely on your side. This isn't like someone who is bogging you down. I just think there's a lot of shifting that you have going on, especially internally, and that is going to need to be met in the external as well. So you're going to have to line that up when you get to the point where you're making big moves. Hopes and fears, King of Swords. I think there's like a deep need for you to hold on to your identity, for you to hold on to the methods and practices that work best for you. There's a need to maintain that individuality every step of the way. And there could also be a deep fear of it as well. That's something that's also coming up here, is kind of resenting that element of it as well. And it's about how much you're running that energy. Like how much are you, and how long have you been doing that? Because your experience with it can also be something that makes it easier or harder depending on what it is that you're doing. Okay, so let's see what the outcome is. We have the Seven of Cups, having lots of options. I just see this month as being like it's like some things are coming to a close, like, okay, fulfillment, and then you gotta decide what you're doing next. So it's kind of like one door is closing and the other one's opening. But this squirrel is the frantic feeling, or needing to have it figured out, or not knowing what to do with this moon, or oh no, we have the moon, it's uncertain if I'm not building right away or if I'm not clear-headed. That's kind of where Libras get really tripped up, is when you're stepping away from being totally clear-headed all the time. And I think that could be causing a little bit of anxiety or some frustration, and it might pose some challenges, but that's ultimately how you grow. So when you shift your perspective a little bit on what it is that you're investing in next and what you want to build next, that's going to be where things really start to smooth out. Let's get into the timeline. So first, second, third, and fourth quarter, you guys know that's where you end the month. The beginning of April, we have the Queen of Coins. So this, I think this is where you really start to see things getting like wrapped up in a neat little package. And this is like the final efforts that you need to give that thing that you've been working on, or that project, or that endeavor, or I mean, what have you. And so it looks like it's clearing up, closing up, there's resolution. And then second quarter, we have the World. Yeah, so it's kind of like, all right, open road. And that can be really frustrating, because when there's unlimited options, it's like, yes, that's a beautiful thing, but it can also be kind of daunting. Like, well, there's this empty space, so what am I going to do with that? And the World is just a reflection of that. It's showing that open, infinite possibilities, and at the end of the day, you're the one that has to decide what it is that you're going to do with that open road. Quarter three, we have Three of Swords. Some ideas you're going to have to let go of. It could also be relationships or people that were helping you in the past. Maybe they're not the right people to bring along the way with you. It could be, you know, a minor grief process if maybe you were pursuing something for a short time and then you needed to switch gears. You know, that can also create a Three of Swords experience. But it just looks like there's more friction and frustration due to the open space. I think that's what this progression is it's kind of like, oh, there are so many possibilities. Oh, there are so many possibilities. And so that's also what the Seven of Cups is about. And I think that there's something really comforting about having a plan and having things mapped out and having things clear and defined. And Libra's like that. Just having things be comfortable and clear, and that's not what the world is. That's not what the Seven of Cups is. That's where you're kind of standing on the edge of the infinite. And so it can really be a challenge to reintegrate yourself and figure out how you're navigating this energy. So it's just about what you do with it. Like, what do you want to do with it? And sometimes the answer is not do anything. So that's also an option as well. Now, the fourth quarter, wrapping up the month, we have 10 of Coins. So I think that you do have a sense of what you want long term or what you want to work on next, because you might be feeling a little bit lost if you don't have anything to work towards or invest in or, you know, put energy towards, especially if you're in a transition period. So this is a pretty stark contrast, you know, between grief and legacy. So it might be that you need this Three of Swords in order to feel into what it is that you truly want to experience and what you're calling into your space. Contrast is the great clarifier, so do not knock it. You have to have it. Now I'm going to do a 3-card pick. So you're welcome to ask a question. You can ask for guidance. Pick as few or as many cards as you'd like. Card number 1, we have Pink Bubble Fairy. Watch yourself. If you find yourself really being drawn or attracted to like a new project or a new hobby or a new thing that you're doing, don't put all your eggs in one basket this month. Bad move, because this looks like you might get overly excited and ramp something up and put a lot of pressure on it, and then if it doesn't actually turn out the way you want it to, you're kind of setting yourself up for disappointment. So just be mindful of that. Card number 2, we have the Hold. So really hold yourself with compassion, with care. Be gentle with yourself this month, especially with that Three of Swords energy. You know, if you find yourself being a little bit tender, treat yourself in the same way a good mother would treat a child. This is ultimately what can be healing, is just being able to reparent yourself, and that's the energy that I'm getting from this. This is like some inner child work for sure. That's where it's like if you're having strong reactions, if you're feeling really emotional, go back to family of origin and just try to find ways to bring yourself comfort in present time in the way that maybe you didn't receive early on. Card number 3. Repopulation. Yeah, so it's about that letting go, right? The empty space, and then it gets filled up again. And don't forget that you have the ability to place the order. You can set the intention for what you want. It's not totally undefined. It's just that you have to be the one to give a definition. So it can be repopulated. You can absolutely manifest something better. It's just that you gotta ask. You have to ask first. It doesn't just fall out of the sky necessarily. So if you're doing this unconsciously, You could manifest the same pattern over and over. That's what most people do. They run on autopilot, have the same experience over and over and over and over again, and they never fix it. So when you see somebody in the comments talking about how miserable they are all the time and how nothing will ever improve for the rest of their life, they're operating off old programming where they just repeat the same cycle over and over and simply do not change and don't do the work. Where it's like, if you're applying yourself and doing the work and setting the intention and trying to navigate, you will find that it shifts and it makes a difference in it. Like the universe only trades up. So you can trust that, but if you don't believe it, it won't happen. Straight up. If you expect the same old thing to happen, then that is what will happen, and there is no exception. So, you know, be willing and open to being proved wrong. That's the biggest piece of advice coming from this card. All right, my friends, that is all that I have for you today. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this reading as much as I've enjoyed reading for you. And until next time, have a beautiful rest of the month. I wish you nothing but the best. Have a lovely April, everybody. And don't forget, if you want to know which decks I used, or if you want to work with me one-on-one, if you want to check out my Patreon, I have a bunch of goodies in the description box, so check it out. And I will talk to you later. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.